Oh, and welcome to another episode of Diary of a Gold Coin Dealer. There's not really been much to talk about. Typically, I like to talk about what I've done during the week. I talk about the gold silver price, which it's dropped. I've already spoken about that a few days ago. I did have a trip lined up. Unfortunately, we've had to find a workaround. Now, as part of my victory lap, there was a couple of collections that I wanted to deal with. One was in Manchester, although I say collection, I think that was just a smattering of what the gentleman owned. But we went and sorted that. That made a good video. And then there was a collection in, I'm going to say Glasgow. I won't name drop the actual place, but I was going to meet the gentleman in Glasgow, and I was going to go through what he had, and then I was going to buy. Essentially, I had 40 grand lined up to buy it. And maybe this video will open some people's eyes over why some deals fall apart. And in this case, there was a middle ground to be found. So I've been dealing with this gentleman for 7, 8 years maybe. I remember, I was speaking to him earlier, I remember him saying to me, I'll sell out when spot reaches £1,600. And he reminded me, he's like, I remember telling you I'd sell out when spot reaches £1,200. I was like, I don't remember that, but I remember the 1600 because we were going to sort it out then, and then life got in the way, and I think he continued to add a little. But for me to go to Glasgow, I thought I can do this. I'm finally in a position health-wise where I think I'm fine to do that. That's not a problem. It was only in the summer where it was the first time I left my home county since I got sick. I was having issues then, and that was in the summer. But I'm in a position where I'm going to the gym almost daily now. I'm doing the day-to-day. It's just really boring, isn't it? The day-to-day grind. So I thought, I'll go to Scotland, I'll see my father, go to Glasgow, and I'll buy this collection. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, how much is it going to cost me to start off with? So I've got to get a train to London, and then I've got to get a coach to one of the airports, or maybe the Gatwick Express. So I don't live in London. I live about 35, 40 minutes away from London, in Kent. I was like, okay, fine. Then I've got to take a plane. So I've got to get up at 5 in the morning. And I was like, that's kind of And then Glasgow Airport it's not by the city centre. It's about 8, 9 miles. So I had to get a shuttle bus from the airport to centre of Glasgow to get a train to another part of the country, go to the gentleman's house, sort it out, and then come back. So I was like, okay, price-wise, it's problematic. So I looked at coaches, and the coach was... I'm not too worried about the time on the coach. That is what it is. You lose a day. I think it was like 20 odd hours or something silly. But you spent 6 hours in Birmingham. And I'm thinking, I don't want to be holding 30, 40, 45k worth of stock, depending on what we agreed on. I think that would have been the upper limit on 45. I don't want to be holding that in Birmingham in the middle of the morning. I don't know Birmingham. It's not a part of the country I'm familiar with. Now, you said Newcastle. If I could have done it at Newcastle, I wouldn't mind because I lived in Newcastle. I quite know the city. I know where's okay and where's not. So that was off the cards. And then the train, I was going to get the night sleeper, the Caledonian night sleeper home. 325 quid. But that would be for my own room. You could say, yeah, you could just get a seat. The seat's like 80 quid. But then I don't want to be carrying 40,000 worth of stock on me. Again, it's problematic. So I thought, if I get the plane, is it going to be problematic for me to have such a... And it is a serious quantity of coin. Like, let's not dispute that. Like, how many people will walk through an airport with 40k worth of coins? Problematic. I spoke to them. I was like, this ain't going to work. So I was like, in my head, I was like, well, what if I go and I send the stock back? And then I thought, you know what? I originally wanted to go to Scotland to go see my dad. It slowly went from something that was feasible to, well, I'd only be seeing my dad for like an hour, and then I'll be doing business, and the costs don't add up, and it's probably unsafe to do it. It's going to be problematic in terms of the paperwork. So I just said to the gentleman, I said, look, it's not feasible. It isn't feasible. However, we did come to a middle ground. So I said to him, I was like, look, what if I just send you postage stamps to where you live and you just send it down? Just send it down. I'll pay, like, I've been dealing with you so long. You're one of the few clients I would actually pay up. That's not a problem for me. You know, the amount of business we've done over the years, it doesn't really matter. I know where he lives. He knows where I live. It's not really a problem. I trust him to do that. So there's going to be maybe 10, 11 packages to come from him over the next few weeks. And I think that's kind of the pragmatic approach. I think it certainly helps me. Like, you need to realise that as much as I don't consider myself sick anymore, I'm not really having issues with my nervous system and my sensory problems. For me to get up at 5 a.m, to get a train, a shuttle or a coach, a plane, another shuttle, another train, a shuttle, a plane, a shuttle or train, depending on, or coach, that's 10 different things. And the timing of it it's very condensed as well. So if one thing goes wrong, it all goes wrong, and it just adds more and more money. So for me, running a discount postage business, I just sent him the stamps. You know, usually I don't cover that side of it. I think there's enough goodwill for me to say, you know what, it's fine. So that's been my week. It's much ado about nothing. Since I've changed my business model, there's not as much stock in, you know, and I'm completely fine with that. I'm just trying to burn through my postage stamps. That's all, you know, and I'm getting to the point where I think I've got 4,001 on the books. Even if I get it down to 1,000, that's job done. Like, I can just amalgamate that with the other stamps I've got. I could technically amalgamate what I have. I don't want to, because I think that's problematic moving forward in terms of how much it raises the cost of the overall stamps that I have. So yeah, I have been looking at a couple of auctions as well. I think there's 3 auctions coming up that I'm interested in bidding on. I now have a war chest because I had 40k in my account between my overdraft and my funds, so I can bid on it. I could bid say 20k on one, 20k on the other, and still buy from the gentleman, the Glasgow gentleman. So that works. And the third auction's not until next month. So there's a lot of coins that may or may not be coming in. I am having people inquire about selling to me. More inquiries than deals. That's okay. You know, I'm not entirely worried about that. At the end of the day, I offer a quote, or I quote something, and people accept, or they choose to go elsewhere or not sell, and that's part and parcel of this business. So yeah, it's been let's call it a frustrating few days. I still haven't had that holiday in Scotland. That's going to happen. It will happen at some point. But between now and April, it's going to be incredibly busy for me, because I'll be moving house soon. So, or at least that's the plan. That's been on the books for a long time. I want to get out the area I live in. It's not safe these days. We've got the overspill from London, and it's not the area I grew up in. It always was a rough and ready place, but it's a different issues now. And a lot of the people I knew who lived here don't live here anymore. They've all been moving out. I've lost so many neighbours, and I'm not going to say that I was on good terms with my neighbours, because we barely spoke anyway, but you can see it from the house boards. They're all selling up and moving. Don't know where they're going, but they're certainly not staying around here. Because the demographics change so much, it doesn't. I don't even recognise the area. So yeah, between now and April, there's going to be a lot of selling to do of what I got left. Oh, and I bought some poker chips. I bought some silver poker chips. That's going to be an interesting video. I said to the guy, how many do you have? He had 160 when I asked. It went down to 110. And I just said, I'll take the lot. I'll use them for postage. Not a problem. So yeah, that's been my week. I hope you've had a good week. Maybe you've had a bad week. Hopefully your week will get better. Yeah, take care, and I'll see you on the next one.